Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. And today we're going to be doing a book review of this book right here, which is The Little Book of Financial Wisdom by Garth Turner. This book came out on December 8th, 2001, and the only price that I could find is $16.95. I'm assuming that's probably going to be in Canadian dollars because this guy is Canadian, although you can find it on Amazon right now for $20 plus free shipping apparently. So let's jump into it. I also forgot to add that this book is 123 pages. So just straight off the bat, the one thing that I took the most out of this book was how to avoid taxes. And that's in like real estate, that's in like, investing your money, whether it's stock market, mutual funds, whatever you want to call it. This, Garth Turner, I don't want to say he's an expert at tax evasion, but he gives you, there are a lot of loopholes that you can follow or steps that you can take to avoid taxes when cashing out an investment. So in the first part of the book, he talks about your investing style. And basically what that is do you want low risk, do you want medium risk, or do you want high risk, right? And like there are actually a few pages in the book where it says, my goal is to protect my primary savings. I'm most concerned about losing what I have, and I'm not willing to take any risk just to keep up with inflation. And then on the other side of that spectrum, so that was the first level. And then on the other side of that spectrum, it said, my primary goal is to earn enough on my savings to stay ahead of inflation. I'm willing to take on some investment risk to do so. So, that's basically what happens in the first part of the book. He gives you like a scale. You might not be able to see it from this far away, but there are a few questions or a few statements, and you can decide which one is for you, right? Whether you want to do high risk, medium risk, or low risk. Soon after that in the book, he then goes on to talk about the stock market. He then goes on to talk about gold and how gold could possibly explode, and this was obviously in 2001, so the book does show its age, I guess you could say. But one thing that I actually really like, I don't know how he predicted this, but he was talking about paper money, and basically what he said is, I want to read the paragraph, and he said, paper money is coming to the end of its time as a useful, practical commodity. It is being replaced by digital wealth in the form of credit, debit, and stored value cards for everyday use, and electronic funds for investment. We all now go to work to earn money that we never see. It is deposited directly into a bank account where it is represented on a computer screen and then transferred to cover expenditures we never physically make, for a mortgage payment, a credit card transaction, or an RRSP contribution. Our investments are digital. We buy wine and groceries with debit cards and internet purchases with credit card numbers. And obviously I was like 5 years old in 2001, right? And I recently just started, in the past few years, like I got my debit card, I got my credit card, whatever. And when I was a kid, I always saw my mom paying with cash, right? Always. I rarely ever saw her paying with a debit card. I remember when we used to go grocery shopping, she used to pay with cash. When we used to go to, say, the mall at Walmart, she used to pay with cash. And then obviously as time went on, I got older, and then I noticed that she started paying with a debit card. And then with me, like, I rarely ever use cash, right? And now it's all about debit cards, it's all about credit cards. You have Touch ID on your phone, you have Face ID on your phone, and you hold your phone near the reader, you put your thumbprint on it, and you pay, right? And it's like everything is all digital now, right? People rarely ever actually deal with money anymore. It's all just digital. It's all just numbers, like he said, on a computer screen. It's like, I understand that, we're all looking for, I guess you could say, convenience, but it's like at the same time, like, I don't know, like everything seems kind of, because it's like, it's not anything that you can hold, right? It's not tangible, it's not physical. So it's like, there's probably some people that keep their money under their mattress still, right? And it's like, I feel like, I don't know why, it's like, I just feel like that's a safer thing to do, although I don't do it, right? Which doesn't really make sense to me, because I was actually talking to somebody at work, and with the whole like economy crashing and like everything dipped down and whatever, and basically what they said to me was, they said, like, imagine if you had your money in your savings account or your checking account or whatever it is, right? It's like, yes, that's your money, but that's also the bank's money. Like, if you kind of understand what I'm saying, right? And I'm sure in the fine print somewhere, in the little terms and conditions that nobody reads, I'm sure that, there's something that says that in the event of the bank not having money, or in the event of a catastrophic failure, they can possibly take your money. And and the person basically said to me, like, I don't want the bank taking my money, so that's why I have all my money at home. And it's like, I was thinking about that, and I was like, you know what, that's actually probably true. I'm guaranteed, like, I'm sure that there's some little clause in there, or some type of, like I said, term or condition that says in the event of a catastrophic failure that they can start taking money from people's accounts. So it's, like, I understand why some people probably have money at home. I don't do it, to be honest. It just depends on where you're willing to keep your money, if that makes sense, right? Because at the same time, the person with all the money in their mattress, if if the government starts printing way more money, then the value of your money is gonna go down, right? And I'm pretty sure that's what happened in I think it was World War II. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And Germany started just printing a bunch of money, and so they had way more $20 bills, and then obviously the $20 bill wasn't worth $20 anymore, because there was paper like flying around. There's $20 bills flying around in the street, right? So it's like, that could happen too. So it's like, I'm not sure if them doing that also devalues the money in your bank account. So it's like, it's very confusing to me. But I understand where he's coming from with, like, everything being digital, and obviously this was in 2001, so he obviously predicted it very well. So he then goes on to talk about real estate and what types of real estate you should buy, and you should probably stay away from, like, a single rental unit. Once again, this book did come out in 2001, so, and I'm pretty sure with the Toronto housing market right now, nobody could have predicted where it was going to go. Like, I think right now it's like $2,500 for a month for a 1-bedroom condo in downtown. Let me actually just confirm that. Yeah, so a 1-bedroom in Toronto as of June 2020 is $2,103 if you're renting. So, compare that to Red Deer, Alberta, which is $892 for a 1-bedroom. And nobody could have predicted where the Toronto housing market could have gone. It's only been the past couple of years that, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, I don't really understand that yet, why it costs $2,100 for a 1-bedroom. Then again, I do understand that you are living in downtown. You're literally in the heart of the city. Everything is within walking distance. You don't really need a car. Most people work downtown, but then again, $2,100 for a 1-bedroom. I feel like, if you are renting downtown, then the only thing that's a give and take is they're taking most of your money, right? That's, basically what it is. And, if you're a person making $100,000 a year, then, $2,000 to you is like a week of work. So, I mean, that's like pocket change to you. That, that doesn't really matter. But, if you're someone like me, you're on a lower income, $2,000 is like, that's a very good amount of money. I mean, really and truly, it's, to each his own. If you want to live downtown and, have everything close by and, everything within walking distance, and you can get to somewhere within, 5-10 minutes of walking, and you're perfectly fine with paying the higher price, and, that's perfectly fine. But, like I said, if you're somebody like me, $2,000 is actually it's a very substantial amount of money. I'd rather live, 20 minutes, half an hour away from downtown, hop on the train, hop on the bus, whatever the case may be. And you can still be downtown in, say, half an hour. So, I'm perfectly fine with where I am right now. I'm actually getting a pretty good rate. But, he was talking about the different types of real estate and stuff like that. And he said that you shouldn't buy a condo to rent it out, because basically what you're going to be doing is you're just going to be turning over dollars. The rent that's coming in from the tenant that you have in your unit It's just going to be going all towards the mortgage. You're probably not going to be taking in much. And that's, basically what he said. But then again, this book did come out in 2001, as I'm going to probably say a bunch more times in this video. And that's why, because nobody could have predicted where the housing market would have gone. So he then goes on to talk about RRSPs, which is a registered retirement savings plan. And basically what he says is that you should start putting money away in that from as young of an age as possible, because then obviously you're saving for your retirement. The only bad thing about an RRSP is that when you eventually take the money out when you're 65, you are going to be taxed on that money. So after that, he then goes on to talk about insurance, and he talks about car insurance and how if you have a car and you would like to drive that vehicle, that you should probably have insurance, and I'm pretty sure insurance is mandatory. But he then went to talk about like home insurance, and I'm not sure if like I don't have a house, so I'm not sure if home insurance is mandatory. I mean, I'm pretty sure it probably is. I know they just came out with like renter's insurance, and that's supposed to be an optional thing, or I'm pretty sure it's an optional thing. And the gist of this chapter is he was basically talking about life insurance and how everybody should try to have it, just because when you think about it, it's a relatively small payment if you're young and healthy compared to when you're old or older. Because I know that with most life insurance, if you have to go through like a physical or something like that, like at the doctor, they ask you if you smoke, they ask you if you drink, you have to do like blood work and all that kind of stuff, because basically what they're trying to do is they don't want to give somebody life insurance. Like, they would rather give a young and healthy person life insurance over a person that's older and not as healthy as the younger person, because then if they give it to the older person and the older person passes away, then obviously that's an insurance policy that they have to pay out compared to a younger person. So let's say you're like 50 and you smoke, your insurance, your monthly payment for your insurance, your life insurance, is going to be higher compared to say me, and I'm 24 and I don't smoke and I don't drink. So because it's a lower chance or a lower possibility of me passing away, knock on wood, in the near future. One thing that I also learned is that life insurance is tax-free. He also says that in terms of a life insurance policy, that you should get 8 to 10 times your family income. So say as a household you make 100 grand a year, you should get a life insurance policy between 800,000 and $1 million, because once you inevitably pass away, like I said, then that money is tax-free and it can be used to pay outstanding debts, to pay your mortgage, to send your kids to school, and settle whatever other debts that you had when you were here. So it was at this point in the book when he talked about the Nortel whole meltdown in the summer of 2001. And basically what the story was is it was a pilot who had more than $200,000 on stock in the company. And basically what Nortel was is they were a telecommunication company. They were kind of booming in the late 90s, early 2000s. And basically what happened is they just they didn't reach earnings, they missed their revenue targets, and they just it wasn't good, right? So basically what happened in July of 2000, Nortel shares reached a high of $124, and that would have been more than $1,100 each if adjusted for stock consolidation that took place in 2006. So it reached the equivalent of $1,100. Then in October of 2000, the stock dropped 20% after they missed their revenue target, and then it basically just went down from there. So as you can see, I'll put the chart up somewhere. In a matter of 2 to 3 years, they were low, they boomed up super high, and then obviously it went back down, and now I'm pretty sure they're like bankrupt or something like that. I'm pretty sure they don't even exist anymore. So like I said, the pilot, he had $200,000 worth of stock in the company. The bulk of his investable net worth was dumped into Nortel. after it had peaked at over $120 a share, and then he bought a load more when it dropped into the $60 range. By the time he made it to the front page, because he was in like the newspaper and stuff, it was well south of $20 and on its way to $11. And basically, what you shouldn't do is it says here in the book, he bought it at the wrong time and he was chasing previous gains. He went for the big greedy score instead of diversifying. Worst of all, he arrogantly believed he could shun advice and make his own decisions in a field where he was, at best, an amateur. In short, he deserved what he got. This is akin to a financial advisor climbing into the cockpit of an Airbus and trying to take off. The result will be the same, a disaster. So, that's basically what it is. I know Tesla is the hot talk right now. I'm pretty sure their stock price, it reached 1,000 and then I think it dropped back down to like 900. And if you're thinking of investing in Tesla right now, personally, I think it'll be like Amazon. Amazon in 2011 was like $200 or something like that, and then obviously now in 2020, it's $2,500 US. So if you spent $200 9 years ago, you would have had $2,500 now. So, but obviously nobody could have predicted that. Nobody could have predicted that Amazon would have gotten as big as it is right now. Like Amazon is literally everywhere. You see their ads everywhere. Everybody, but like you see Amazon boxes on people's porches, all the way down the street. Like Amazon is one of the biggest companies in the world. I think probably behind only Apple and maybe Google. That's probably it. It's like Amazon, Apple, and Google. Those are like the three biggest companies in the world with how much trillions of dollars in market cap, and stuff like that. So I guess the moral of the guy story is that you shouldn't go chasing previous gains, right? Like if I see Tesla right now, Tesla's at 900. Obviously it all depends on how much you want to risk, right? It all depends on, do I want my money to possibly go to $2,000 a share with me putting in 1,000, so I double my money, or is it going to go back down to maybe 500? I mean, personally, I think Tesla is here to stay. Electric cars are the future. If you have a disposable amount of money, say you have $2,000 to play with, I would say buy 2 shares of Tesla, right now. Obviously you shouldn't put in more than you're willing to lose. So if you're only, say you have $10,000 in the bank and you're only willing to lose 2,000, then you should only put $2,000 into something as volatile as the stock market. He then goes on to talk about stocks, bonds, ETFs, mutual funds, real estate, and how you should diversify your portfolio. One thing that you shouldn't do is put all of your eggs into one basket, because if that basket ends up failing, then obviously you lose all your money, just like the pilot that put 200,000 into Nortel. Then obviously Nortel collapsed, he lost all his money, and now he's 200,000 in the hole. What you should do is, say for example you have $1,000 that you want to invest, right? So you put 250 into Tesla, you put 250 into Amazon, you put 250 into Apple, and you put 250 into, say, Starbucks, right? So then if Tesla goes to zero for whatever reason, you only lost $250, compared to if you put 1,000 into Tesla and it crashed, then you end up losing 1,000. In the next part of the book, he says that you shouldn't chase hot tips. So basically, anybody that says they're an insider at Tesla, or whatever the case may be, right? If Tesla comes out with the Roadster, I'm pretty sure their stock is going to go up, because the Roadster is probably going to be a good vehicle. But if I see somebody post on Reddit that the Roadster is coming out tomorrow and you should buy Tesla stock today, you probably shouldn't do that, right? You don't chase little internet hot tips, as he called it. And then he also said to buy when others are selling. One of the things that Warren Buffett says is, he says that you be greedy when others are fearful, and you be fearful when others are greedy. So, basically what he's saying is that when everybody is selling because of a crash or whatever the case may be, that's when you should be buying. And then when everybody is, buying up because of whatever reason, because they heard of some hot tip, that's when you should be selling, because it could mean, volatility, it could mean instability, and, you don't really know what's going to happen. The last part of the book is him basically talking about having a financial advisor. And, you know, it's probably smart for you to do that if you're, I guess you could say if you're older. So say you're like 30, 35, 40, it's probably smart for you to have a financial advisor, because that person, it's their sole job to, you know, look at the markets and, you know, decide what they should purchase with your money. So, you know, that's probably the smartest decision. Whereas if you're, you know, 25, and you only have, you know, a couple grand to throw in, like say you have two to 10 grand to throw into the stock market, you know, you can kind of deal with that on your own. Because it's very different if you lose 10 grand when you're 25 compared to you losing 10 grand when you're 45. You know, hopefully that when you're 45 you have, it's not as big of a chunk as your net worth. Basically what I'm trying to say is when you're 25, losing 10 grand is a big problem. Compared to you being 45, losing 10 grand probably isn't a big problem because your net worth is probably higher. But at the same time, losing 10 grand when you're 25 isn't that big of a problem because you still have your whole rest of your life to make up for that 10 grand that you lost, compared to you being 45 and losing 10 grand and, you know, you're probably going to retire in like 20 years compared to the 25-year-old who's going to retire in like 40 years. So, you know, and having a financial advisor is, you know, probably a smart thing because, like I said, it's their sole job to look at markets, and they do that all day, right? If you're a lawyer and you're 45 and you're working 12 to 14 hours a day, you don't have any time to look at the market. You barely have time to eat, you barely have time to shower, you barely have time to see your wife. You know, that's why you should probably have a financial advisor as you get older. If you're 25, you know, you probably don't need one. It's whatever, you know, you throw your little money into your savings account, you know, your RRSP or whatever it is. And it should only be when you start accumulating a lot of net worth and, you know, a lot of money and other assets that you should have a financial advisor, because that person, granted that, you know, they're trustworthy and all those other types of things, they could probably help guide you in the best direction, or, you know, guide you onto the best path for your situation. But, you know, other than that, you know, I did really enjoy this book. I learned a lot in this book. Like I said, it was only 123 pages, but, you know, I did learn a lot about RRSPs and, you know, the stock market and like home equity loans and, you know, all those other types of things. So, you know, this book, I highly recommend it. You know, and like I said, I mean, this is literally only 100 pages, literally that thin. So, you know, I do like small books because, you know, I finished this in like, I would say probably a week. There was a little time when I kind of took a break from reading because, I don't know, I felt the need to stop reading for a little bit I don't know what the reason was, but I just felt the need to. So that's why I did stop for a little bit. And then, so yeah, I would say the total time for me to finish this book is probably like a week. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, you know, the final rating for this one is going to be a 7 out of 10. It's a good little book that you can finish in less than a week, and it has a lot of very good information. But you know, yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day to watch my video. It is very much appreciated. All relevant links are down below, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching. Talk to you next one.